The MCU is the biggest cinematic franchise in the history of theaters. The total sales of the MCU beat out the entire collection of James Bond movies, every Harry Potter film, everything that Batman has appeared in, and every Mission Impossible film combined.
How about that?
Does this affect the world of cinema? Absolutely. But how? Superhero movies and TV shows had been around for decades before the release of Iron Man in 2008, and many of them were very successful, but none of them were able to maintain the momentum like the MCU. The movie that kicked off the MCU was Iron Man, but this was before Disney had its sights set on the franchise. The film was produced by Paramount Pictures and owned by Marvel Entertainment. Many movies were released over the past few decades using Marvel's name and characters, but none of them like Iron Man. It was clear that Marvel Entertainment had a plan. Immediately after the successful release of Iron Man, Marvel Entertainment announced that they were already working up a sequel. Disney caught wind of what was going on with Marvel Entertainment, and immediately wanted in.
How quickly can we buy this building?
They purchased the Marvel Cinematic Universe in 2009 for the cost of $4 billion, and the rest is history. According to a recent review, Disney has spent a total of $9.6 billion on the acquisition of the MCU and production costs for all the films and TV shows. The total return on investment to date for Disney is $27.8 billion. It's clear to see that this franchise quickly took over as the king of cinematic franchises. Not only as a franchise either, but each film is also able to gross at least $500 million on average. This is astronomical because the average movie released that isn't a part of the MCU will only gross around $12 million. YouTube channels and blogs are constantly talking about them, only increasing the hype and curiosity about each new movie. One of the biggest things that these YouTube channels and blogs have in common is that they target the unknown and speculation of upcoming films and projects. When Doctor Strange was being marketed earlier this year, there were so many rumors about who would appear in the film. Some people were convinced that Tom Cruise would debut as Iron Man from a different universe, or that other major reveals would take place. As fans of the MCU, we are all excited to see what actors they will bring next to play out favorite characters from the comic books. I myself am a sucker for these YouTube creators like New Rockstars, The Critical Drinker, and Emergency Awesome, who are amazing at increasing my hype for new films. The MCU has something that most other franchises do not, and that is an abundance of source material. They have decades and decades of comic books that they can reference and now a huge fan base to entertain, and we are all here for it. Obviously, there are some other franchises that have historical source material as well and have had major successes come from it, but they have never been able to capture the longevity like the MCU. So, this begs the question, what is the future of cinema? The numbers don't lie that people are extremely interested in every new MCU project that comes out of Disney's pipeline, and they have taken over the superhero genre. Recently they released the Black Panther, Wakanda Forever, and in one weekend it was able to surpass what the DCEU's Black Adam did in a whole month at the box office.
Oh, mercy, King, mercy.
Every breath you take is mercy from me.
It has now gotten to a point where it seems like everyone in Hollywood wants in on the franchise in some way, whether they are actors, directors, stunt crew, or extras. The newest MCU project, whether it's a flop or a major hit with fans, will be the next biggest thing for the time being. Let's compare a couple of recent films that were released over the past year. Incredible, original idea movies were released such as Bullet Train and Nope. Both of these films had impressive casts, with Bullet Train starring Brad Pitt, who is a huge name in Hollywood. Nope was written and directed by Jordan Peele, who made his directorial debut in recent years with his mind-bending film Get Out. It's obvious that these films aren't really a similar genre to the MCU, and there are other films such as Top Gun, Maverick and the new Minions movie that completely blew the box office out of the water. But those movies are sequels to other major hits, and Disney still has its hands on one of those. Nope and Bullet Train are fairly original ideas without major source material, with Bullet Train being based on a novel written in 2010. These movies did extremely well at the box office and were able to turn a profit, despite their hefty budgets to create. We then take a look at an MCU film that was released this year that in my opinion was one of the worst films to come out of the MCU, but that's a story for another time. At its time of filming it was one of the most expensive films ever made, and absolutely killed it at the box office with no surprise. Where does this leave the future of cinema? Thor: Love and Thunder was granted a huge budget because Disney knew they would be able to recoup their money plus so much more. Just like always. While other films go out on a whim hoping they will do well enough to break even, because they don't have the budget and manpower behind the monopoly of cinema that is Disney right now. Let me know in the comments what your opinion is on the MCU takeover. Do you think their monopoly on the movie franchise is fair to other films being released in theaters? Also, be sure to like the video and subscribe to my channel if you enjoyed today's video.
This is going.
Anyway, that's all I've got for now. Peace.